I never thought my own blood would tie me to a chair and beat me until I couldn't see straight. But there I was, 63 years old, duct tape across my mouth, wrists burning from the rope, watching my daughter's hand come down across my face again and again. The hotel room in Cancun smelled like ocean salt in my own blood. My wife stood in the corner, arms crossed, not saying a word to stop it. "Just sign it, Daddy," my daughter kept saying. But her voice wasn't sweet anymore. It was cold, mechanical, like I wasn't her father, like I was just an obstacle between her and $40 million. If you've ever trusted someone with your whole heart, only to find out they've been planning your destruction all along, you'll understand what I'm about to tell you. Before we go any further, do me a favor, hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment telling me where in this world you're watching from. These stories, they're real. They happen to real people, and knowing you're out there listening, it means something. My name is Robert Eugene Crawford. I'm 63 years old, and I live in Richmond, Virginia, or at least I did when all this started. What I'm about to tell you happened 2 years ago, but it feels like yesterday. Some memories don't fade. Some scars don't heal. This is the story of how the people I love most tried to bury me alive. The morning my father died, I was fixing the kitchen sink. Isn't that something? Your whole world is about to change, and you're just there with a wrench in your hand, cursing at old pipes. It was a Tuesday, October 15th. The leaves outside our dining room window were turning that deep Virginia red, the kind that makes you stop and thank God you're alive to see another fall. I lived in a modest 3-bedroom house on Maple Grove Avenue. Nothing fancy, the kind of place where the fence needed painting and the gutters always had too many leaves. But it was mine. Well, mine and the bank's for another 8 years. My wife Diane, she'd been pushing for us to move somewhere bigger, somewhere in the West End where her book club friends lived. But I always told her the same thing. "Diane, honey, this house has good bones, and it's paid for in 8 years. Let's not get greedy." Diane was 58. Still beautiful, if I'm being honest. She kept herself up, hair always done, nails always perfect. She volunteered at the church, hosted dinner parties, made sure everyone knew we were respectable people. Sometimes I thought she cared more about what the neighbors thought than what I thought, but I pushed that feeling down. Marriage is about compromise, right? Our daughter, Monica, was 25 and living with us while she figured things out. That's what we called it. Figured things out. She'd graduated from VCU 3 years back with a degree in communications, but every job she got, she quit within months. Too boring. Boss was mean. Co-workers were fake. Always something. Diane defended her every time. "She's just finding her path, Robert. Not everyone's like you, working the same factory job for 30 years. That stung a little, but I let it go. What else could I do? The only other person living with us was Juanita. She'd been our housekeeper for 7 years, but somewhere along the way, she became more than that. She became family. Juanita was 42 from Honduras, and she had this quiet strength about her. She didn't talk much, but when she did, her words meant something. She'd lost her husband back in Tegucigalpa and sent most of her money home to her 2 boys. Every Sunday after church, she'd video call them and her whole face would light up. I trusted Juanita more than I trusted most people. So there I was that Tuesday morning under the sink when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. "Is this Robert Crawford?" the voice said. Official. Cold. "Yeah, this is Robert. Mr. Crawford, this is Mercy General Hospital calling. I'm sorry to inform you that your father, William Crawford, passed away this morning at 6:47 a.m. The wrench slipped out of my hand and clanged against the cabinet. My father. Dead. We hadn't been close. Not for years. After my mother died when I was 19, something in him just shut off. He remarried twice, moved to Florida, sent birthday cards with $20 bills inside, but never called. I saw him maybe twice in the last decade. So when they told me he was gone, I felt something, but I couldn't name it. Sadness, relief, guilt, maybe all 3. The funeral was small, held at a chapel in Sarasota where he'd been living. Just me, Diane, Monica, and about a dozen people I didn't know. Neighbors, I guess. People from his golf club. A woman in a purple hat cried through the whole service. I wondered if she'd been his girlfriend. Diane held my hand during the eulogy, but it felt mechanical. Monica was on her phone half the time. I remember thinking, this is how I'll go out too. A handful of strangers in cheap chairs, someone checking Instagram while the preacher rushes through generic Bible verses. After the service, a man in a gray suit approached me. He was young, maybe 35, with slick back hair and a leather briefcase that looked more expensive than my car. "Mr. Crawford, I'm Aaron Feldman. I was your father's estate attorney." "Estate attorney?" My father lived in a one-bedroom condo. "What estate?" "Can we talk somewhere private?" Feldman asked. We went to a Denny's across the street. He ordered coffee. I ordered nothing. My stomach was in knots. Feldman opened his briefcase and pulled out a manila folder thick enough to choke a horse. "Your father," he began, "was a very private man." "Tell me about it," I muttered. "What I mean is, he kept certain aspects of his financial life extremely confidential, even from family." Feldman paused, looking at me like he was waiting for permission to continue. "Just say what you gotta say." He slid a document across the table. I looked down. Numbers, lots of numbers, account statements, foreign banks, investments I'd never heard of, properties in places I couldn't pronounce. "Your father's estate," Feldman said slowly, "is valued at approximately $42 million. I laughed. Actually laughed. "You got the wrong guy, man. My father worked at a post office. He drove a '98 Camry." "Your father also made several strategic investments in the 1980s and 90s. Tech stocks, real estate in emerging markets. He was extraordinarily shrewd with money and extraordinarily secretive." I stared at the papers. The numbers didn't make sense. Couldn't make sense. 42 million, give or take. After taxes and estate fees, you're looking at inheriting somewhere between 38 and $40 million, Mr. Crawford. The room started spinning. I gripped the edge of the table. "You're serious?" "Completely." I don't remember what I said next. I think I just sat there, staring, while Feldman walked me through trusts and accounts and legal jargon that sounded like a foreign language. All I could think was, my whole life, I've been breaking my back at a factory for $52,000 a year, and my father was sitting on $40 million. Why didn't he help me? Why didn't he help my mother before she died? Why live like he was poor when he wasn't? Feldman must have seen the confusion on my face because he said, "Your father left a letter. He asked me to give it to you after he was gone." He handed me an envelope. My name was written on it in my father's shaky handwriting. I didn't open it at Denny's. I waited until I got back to the hotel room. Diane and Monica had gone out shopping. To process the grief, Diane said, but I knew she just wanted to hit the outlets. I sat on the edge of the bed and opened the letter. "Robert, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I wasn't a good father. I know that. I wasn't a good husband either. After your mother passed, I didn't know how to be human anymore, so I became a ghost. I'm sorry for that. The money I'm leaving you, I earned it, but I never enjoyed it. I was too afraid it would change me, afraid people would want me for the wrong reasons. So I hid it. I lived small. I died alone. Don't make my mistakes, son. Do something good with it. Live. Be generous. Don't let money turn you into what I became. I loved you. I just didn't know how to show it. Dad, I read it 3 times. Then I folded it back up, put it in my suitcase, and cried for the first time since I was a kid." The flight back to Richmond felt like a dream. Diane sat next to me, flipping through a Sky Mall magazine, circling things she wanted to buy. Monica had her headphones in, watching some reality show on her iPad. Neither of them asked me if I was okay. Neither of them mentioned my father except to say the funeral was depressing. I kept thinking about the letter. Do something good with it. By the time we landed, I'd made a decision. That night, after we got home and unpacked, I called a family meeting. We sat around the dining room table. Me, Diane, Monica. Juanita was cleaning up the kitchen, but I asked her to stay too. "I have something important to tell you all," I started. My hands were shaking. I don't know why. This was supposed to be good news. "Dad, if this is about the funeral, I don't want to talk about death anymore," Monica said, scrolling on her phone. "Monica, put the phone down," I said firmly. She rolled her eyes but did it. "My father left me something, an inheritance." Diane perked up. "Oh, how much? Enough to pay off the house?" I took a breath. "More than that. A lot more." "How much, Robert?" Diane's voice got sharp. $40 million. Silence. Monica's mouth fell open. Diane's eyes went wide. Juanita froze by the sink, dish towel in her hands. Then Diane screamed. Actually screamed. She jumped up and threw her arms around me, laughing and crying at the same time. Oh my God, Robert, we're rich, we're actually rich. Monica was on her feet too, pacing, hands on her head. 40 million? 40 million? Dad, are you serious? This is real? It's real, I said quietly. They were hugging each other, dancing, planning. Diane was already talking about the house in the West End. Monica was talking about a condo in Miami, a new car, designer bags, travel. It was like they'd been waiting their whole lives for this moment, and I just sat there feeling empty. There's something else, I said. They stopped, turned to look at me. I've been thinking about what to do with the money, and I've decided I'm going to donate half of it, 20 million, to charity. You could hear a pin drop. What? Diane's smile disappeared. I'm donating half, I repeated, to organizations that help people, homeless shelters, kids who can't afford college, medical debt relief, places that actually need it. You're joking, Monica said. I'm not. Diane's face went from shock to anger in about 2 seconds. Robert, have you lost your mind? You can't just give away $20 million. Why not? I didn't earn it. I didn't even know it existed until 3 days ago. It's a blessing, and blessings are meant to be shared. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, Monica snapped. I looked at her, my daughter, the girl I raised, and I didn't recognize the person staring back at me. We need that money, Robert, Diane said, her voice cold now. We've struggled for years, and now you want to just throw it away on strangers? We'll still have $20 million. That's more than we'd ever need. That's not the point. Diane slammed her hand on the table. That money is ours. Your father left it to you, not to some homeless person on the street. My father told me to do something good with it. Yeah, take care of your family. We argued for 2 hours, back and forth, Diane crying, Monica yelling, me staying calm, trying to explain that this was the right thing to do, that we didn't need 40 million to be happy, that giving back was what my father wanted. But they wouldn't hear it. Finally, I stood up. My decision is final. I'm donating 20 million. The rest is ours. Then you're a fool, Diane said. Monica stormed out of the room. The only person who didn't say anything was Juanita. She just looked at me across the kitchen and gave me the smallest nod, like she understood. That night, Diane slept in the guest room. The next 2 weeks were hell. Diane barely spoke to me. When she did, it was short, clipped sentences. Dinner's ready. I'm going out. Don't wait up. She stopped looking me in the eye, stopped touching me. It was like living with a stranger. Monica was worse. She'd come downstairs in the morning, glare at me, then leave without saying a word. She started going out more, staying out late, coming home smelling like alcohol and expensive perfume I knew she couldn't afford. Where'd you get that purse? I asked one morning when I saw her with a new designer bag. Does it matter? She shot back. It's not like you're going to help me buy anything. Monica, we've got $20 million coming. You'll be fine. 20. We should have 40. It was exhausting. Every conversation turned into a fight. Every meal was tense. I started eating dinner alone in the den, just to avoid the cold silence at the table. The only person who treated me the same was Juanita. One evening, she brought me a cup of coffee while I sat on the back porch. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and purple. She sat down in the chair next to me without asking. You doing okay, Mr. Robert? Honestly, no. She sipped her own coffee. You know what I think? What's that? I think you're doing the right thing, giving that money to people who need it. That takes a big heart. I felt a lump in my throat. My wife doesn't think so. Your wife is scared. Scared of what? Scared that if you give the money away, she won't be special anymore. She won't be able to show off to her friends. She won't be able to prove she's better than everyone else. I turned to look at her. You really think that? Juanita shrugged. I've worked for a lot of rich people, Mr. Robert. I know how they think. Money makes people feel powerful. And when you threaten to take that power away, they get mean. Diane's not like that, isn't she? I wanted to argue, wanted to defend my wife, but I couldn't, because deep down I knew Juanita was right. What about Monica? I asked. Juanita hesitated. Monica, she learned from her mother. That's all I'll say. We sat in silence for a while. Then Juanita stood up, patted my shoulder, and went back inside. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about what she'd said, about Diane, about Monica, about the way they'd looked at me when I said I was giving the money away, like I'd betrayed them. Around 2 a.m. I got up to get some water. As I passed the guest room I heard voices, low, urgent. I stopped, put my ear to the door. It was Diane and Monica, talking. Can't just let him throw it away, Monica was saying. I know, but what can we do? He's stubborn. There has to be a way, a legal way. Can't we say he's not mentally competent or something? My blood went cold. I don't think that'll work, Diane said. He's got that damn lawyer already processing everything. Then we need to convince him, wear him down, make him see how stupid this is. I've been trying, Monica. He won't budge. Then we go harder. We make his life hell until he changes his mind. I stepped back from the door. My heart was pounding. My wife and daughter plotting against me. I went back to bed, but I didn't sleep. I just stared at the ceiling, wondering when everything had gone so wrong. A week later, Diane came to me with a smile. I hadn't seen her smile in days, so it caught me off guard. Robert, honey, she said sweetly, sitting down next to me on the couch. I've been thinking. About what? About us, about this whole situation. I know we've been fighting, and I hate it. I hate that money is coming between us. I looked at her carefully. Me too. So I had an idea. She put her hand on my knee. Why don't we take a trip? Just the three of us. Get away for a little while. Clear our heads. When we come back, we can make decisions with fresh minds. A trip where? Cancun. I found an amazing resort. All-inclusive, right on the beach. 2 weeks of just relaxation. No stress, no arguments, just family time. I'll be honest, it sounded good. I was tired of the fighting, tired of the tension. Maybe some time away would help. I don't know, Diane. 2 weeks is a long time. What about work? You've got vacation days saved up. And besides, with $40 million coming, do you really need to worry about missing 2 weeks of work? She had a point. What about Juanita? I asked. She can hold down the house. She'll be fine. I thought about it, looked at Diane's face. She seemed genuine, hopeful. Okay, I said, let's do it. Her smile got even bigger. Really? Really? She hugged me, kissed my cheek. Thank you, baby. This is exactly what we need. We left 3 days later. The resort was beautiful. White sand beaches, crystal clear water. Our suite had a balcony that overlooked the ocean. For the first day, everything felt normal. Good, even. We had dinner together, walked on the beach, talked like we used to. I thought maybe Diane was right. Maybe we just needed to get away. But on the second night, everything changed. We'd all gone to bed around 11 p.m. I fell asleep fast. The ocean air always knocks me out. But sometime around 2 a.m., I woke up needing to use the bathroom. As I walked past the living room area of our suite, I heard voices. Diane and Monica, whispering. I stopped, listened. Called Feldman yet? That was Monica. Not yet. I'm waiting until Robert settled in. Once he's relaxed, we'll make the move. And you're sure this will work? Feldman said if Robert's out of the country, there's a small window where we can file power of attorney documents. If we move fast enough, we can redirect the funds before he even knows what's happening. My heart stopped. What if he fights it? Monica asked. He won't. We'll make sure of that. How? We keep him here, away from his phone, away from his lawyer. By the time he figures it out, the money will already be transferred. I couldn't breathe. This wasn't a vacation. This was a trap. I stood there in the dark, frozen, listening to my wife and daughter plan to steal $40 million from me. And in that moment, I realized something that broke me into pieces. They didn't love me. They loved what I could give them. I backed away slowly, went to the bathroom, sat on the edge of the tub and tried not to throw up. I had to get out of here. Had to get home before they could execute whatever plan they had. But I couldn't let them know I knew. The next morning, I acted normal. Had breakfast, smiled, pretended everything was fine. Then around noon, I said, you know what? I just realized I forgot something back home. Something important. Diane looked up from her magazine. What? My medication for my blood pressure. I left the bottle on the counter. Can't you just get more here? It's a specific prescription. I need the bottle to show the pharmacy. I'll just fly back real quick, grab it, and come right back. Robert, that's ridiculous, Monica said. You'll be fine without it for 2 weeks. I won't. I need it. Diane's face changed, got hard. You're not going anywhere. I looked at her. Excuse me? We came here to relax, together, as a family. You're not leaving. Diane, I need my medication. Then we'll call Juanita and have her overnighted. That'll take 3 days. I need it now. Robert, her voice was ice. Sit down. Something in her tone made my skin crawl. Monica stood up, walked to the door, locked it. What are you doing? I asked. Making sure you don't do something stupid, Diane said. That's when I knew. They weren't letting me leave. And if I didn't get out right now, I might never make it home. Diane, unlock that door. She didn't move. Just sat there on the couch, staring at me like I was a stranger. We need to talk, Robert. We can talk after I get my medication. You're not going anywhere. Monica stepped in front of the door, arms crossed. My daughter, 25 years old, looking at me like I was her enemy. What is this? I asked, even though I already knew. This, Diane said calmly, is an intervention. You're making terrible decisions, Robert, and we can't just sit back and watch you destroy this family. Destroy the family? By giving money to people who need it? By throwing away our future, Monica shouted. Diane raised her hand. Monica, calm down. She turned back to me. Robert, honey, listen to me. That money, it's not a blessing. It's a test. And right now, you're failing. A test? A test of whether you're strong enough to protect your family, to provide for us the way you should have been providing all these years. Her voice was steady, cold. You've worked a factory job for 30 years, Robert. 30 years. You've given us a modest life, a modest house, modest everything. And I've stood by you. I've smiled through it all, but now we finally have a chance to live the life we deserve, and you want to give it away to strangers? I stared at her. This woman I'd been married to for 28 years, and I realized I'd never really known her at all. So what's the plan? I asked quietly. You keep me locked in here until I sign over the money? Diane smiled. Something like that. Monica pulled something out of her purse. Zip ties. My stomach dropped. You've got to be kidding me. Sit down, Daddy, Monica said. Her voice wasn't daughterly anymore. It was mechanical, businesslike. No. Sit down. I'm not. Monica moved fast, faster than I expected. She grabbed my arm, twisted it behind my back. Pain shot through my shoulder. Before I could react, Diane was there too, pushing me toward one of the dining chairs. Let go of me. I tried to fight back, but I'm 63 years old, and they were both younger, stronger, and clearly prepared for this. They shoved me into the chair. Monica pulled my arms behind the backrest while Diane wrapped the zip ties around my wrists. Tight, too tight. The plastic bit into my skin. Stop, I shouted. You can't do this. We're doing it, Diane said flatly. Monica pulled out duct tape, the thick, industrial kind. She tore off a strip. Don't you dare. She slapped it across my mouth. Suddenly, I couldn't talk, couldn't yell, could barely breathe through my nose. Diane knelt down in front of me, looked me right in the eyes. Here's what's going to happen, Robert. You're going to sign some paperwork. Paperwork that gives me power of attorney over your father's estate. Once you sign, we'll let you go. We'll fly home. Everything goes back to normal. And we'll never talk about this again. I shook my head violently. No? Diane stood up. Then I guess we wait. Wait for what? Monica asked. Wait until he gets hungry enough, tired enough, smart enough to realize he doesn't have a choice. And that's exactly what they did. They left me there, tied to that chair, mouth taped, wrists bound so tight my hands started going numb, for hours. The sun went down, the room got dark, my back ached, my shoulders screamed. I tried to move, tried to wriggle free, but the zip ties just cut deeper into my skin. At some point, Monica ordered room service. They ate dinner right in front of me. Steak, lobster, wine. The smell made my stomach growl. Diane took a bite of her steak, chewed slowly, then looked at me. All you have to do is nod, Robert. Nod, and we'll take the tape off. We'll let you eat, let you use the bathroom. All you have to do is agree. I stared at her, and I didn't nod. Her face hardened. Fine, suit yourself. They left me there all night. I didn't sleep, couldn't sleep. My wrists were bleeding now, the zip ties cutting through skin. My back felt like it was breaking. My throat was dry. My nose was stuffed up, making it even harder to breathe through the tape. I thought about Juanita, wondered if she'd noticed we hadn't called, wondered if she was worried. I thought about my father's letter. Do something good with it. And I thought about how the two people I loved most in the world had turned into monsters. The next morning, Diane came over and ripped the tape off my mouth. I gasped, coughed. My lips were raw. Ready to talk? She asked. Go to hell. She slapped me, hard. My head snapped to the side. I tasted blood. Try again, she said. No. Monica walked over. Mom, maybe we should what, Monica? Give up? Let him throw away your future? No, but then we keep going. They kept me tied to that chair for 3 more days. 3 days. They let me use the bathroom once a day, but even then, Monica stood guard with a knife from the kitchenette, making sure I didn't try anything. They fed me just enough to keep me alive. Crackers, water, barely anything. And every few hours, Diane would come over with the paperwork. Just sign it, Robert. This can all be over. But I wouldn't, because if I signed, I wasn't just giving them money. I was giving them permission to destroy me. By day 4, I was delirious. My wrists were infected. My back was spasming. I couldn't feel my legs anymore. That's when Monica started hitting me. Not slaps, punches, across the face, in the ribs, on the arms. Sign it, she screamed between blows. But I wouldn't. I closed my eyes and thought about Juanita, about her quiet strength, about the way she'd looked at me on that porch and said, "You're doing the right thing." And I held on, because somewhere deep inside I still believed that good would win, that someone would find me, that this nightmare would end. But as day 5 began and Diane came at me with the papers again, her face twisted with rage, I started to wonder if I was wrong. By day 7, I stopped counting the hours. Time didn't work the same anymore. Day blended into night. Pain blended into numbness. Reality blended into something that felt like a fever dream. My wrists were raw meat now. The zip ties had cut so deep that I couldn't tell where the plastic ended and my skin began. My shirt was stiff with dried blood. The room smelled like infection and sweat and desperation. Diane had stopped pretending to be nice. She'd pull a chair right up in front of me, so close our knees touched, and she'd just stare. Sometimes for an hour, just staring, like she was waiting for me to break. You know what I've realized, Robert? She said on the morning of day 8. I wasted 28 years of my life on you. I didn't respond. Couldn't. My throat was too dry. 28 years of pretending I was happy in that little house, pretending I didn't mind driving a 10-year-old Honda, pretending I was proud to tell people my husband worked at a factory. She laughed, but there was no humor in it. Do you know how many times I lied to my friends? How many times I made excuses for why we couldn't go on their vacations or buy a lake house or send Monica to private school? I looked at her through swollen eyes. I could have married Gerald Hutchins, she continued. Remember him from church? He's a surgeon now, lives in a mansion in Short Pump. His wife drives a Range Rover. But no, I chose you because you were kind, because you were honest, because you had integrity. She spat the last word like it was poison. And look where that got me. Married to a fool who wants to give away $40 million to people who don't even know his name. They're people, I croaked. My voice was barely there. They're human beings. Diane leaned in close. So close I could smell her perfume. The same perfume I bought her for our anniversary 3 months ago. I don't care about people, Robert. I care about my people, my family, my daughter, and you're destroying us. I'm trying to save us. By giving away our money? By choosing strangers over your own wife? It's not about choosing. Yes, it is. She stood up, knocking the chair over. It's always a choice, and you chose wrong. Monica came out of the bedroom, hair wet from the shower. She looked at me like I was garbage. He still won't sign? Stubborn as a mule, Diane said. Then we go to plan B. I didn't like the sound of that. Monica pulled out her phone, dialed a number, put it on speaker. After 3 rings, a man's voice answered. Feldman and Associates, my lawyer. Hi, yes, this is Monica Crawford calling. I'm Robert Crawford's daughter. Miss Crawford? How can I help you? My father's had a medical emergency. He's in the hospital here in Cancun. He's stable, but the doctors say he might have had a minor stroke. He's having trouble with motor functions and speech. My eyes went wide. What was she doing? Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry to hear that, Feldman said. Thank you. The reason I'm calling is we need to expedite the estate transfer. My father's very worried about making sure everything is in order in case, things get worse. He's asked me to handle the paperwork on his behalf. Well, I'd need to speak with your father directly to verify. Monica made a groaning sound. Then, in a slurred, barely intelligible voice, she said, "It's okay. Let her handle it." She was imitating me, imitating someone who'd had a stroke. "Mr. Crawford?" Feldman sounded concerned. "Sir, are you—" Monica hung up. "There," she said, smiling at Diane. "Now when we file the power of attorney documents, he'll think Dad approved it." Diane hugged her. "You're brilliant." They were going to do it. They were actually going to steal everything, and there was nothing I could do to stop them. That afternoon, they left me alone for a few hours. Said they were going to the hotel business center to scan and email documents. I sat there in that chair, bleeding, starving, praying that someone would find me, praying that Juanita would realize something was wrong, praying that God hadn't abandoned me completely. And then I heard it. My phone, ringing. They left it on the counter, just out of reach. I could see the screen lighting up. Juanita calling. I tried to scream through the tape still across my mouth, tried to rock the chair toward the counter, but I couldn't move. The zip ties held me in place. The phone rang 4 times, then stopped, and I wanted to die. 2 more days passed. I'd stopped hoping, stopped praying, stopped fighting. My body was shutting down. I could feel it. Organs giving up, heart slowing, vision getting blurry. Maybe this was how it ended. Tied to a chair in a Mexican hotel room, killed by the people I loved most. There were worse ways to go, I guess. On day 10, Diane's phone rang. She answered it casually, filing her nails on the couch. "Hello?" Then her face changed. "Oh, hi, Juanita. Yes, we're fine. Just extending the vacation a bit." My heart jumped. Juanita. Yes, Robert's good. Just relaxing. You know how he is. Needs a break from all the stress." I tried to make noise, tried to alert Juanita somehow, but the tape was too tight. "Put him on?" Diane's voice got tense. "Oh, he's actually napping right now. Can I have him call you back?" Silence. "I understand you're worried, but everything's fine. We'll be home soon." More silence. "Juanita, I really don't appreciate the tone. We're on vacation. Robert is fine." She hung up, looked at Monica. "We have a problem." "What?" "Juanita's getting suspicious. She wants to talk to Robert directly. Says it's not like him to not check in about his medication." My medication. I'd completely forgotten. I took blood pressure medication every week. Same day, same time. Had been for 5 years, and I'd missed 2 doses. Juanita knew that. Knew I'd never miss a dose without calling to tell her where I'd left the bottle. "So what do we do?" Monica asked. "We speed this up. Feldman's processing the final documents tomorrow. Once they're filed, the money transfers into my account automatically. We just need to keep Robert quiet for 24 more hours." "And then?" Diane looked at me, really looked at me, and for just a second I saw something flicker across her face. Was it guilt? Regret? No, it was calculation. Then we figure out what to do with him. The way she said it made my blood run cold. That night I heard them whispering in the bedroom. I couldn't make out the words, but the tone was clear. They were planning something final. I closed my eyes and thought about my life, all 63 years of it, the good parts, the bad parts, the moments that mattered. I thought about my mother, God rest her soul, how she used to make sweet potato pie every Thanksgiving, how she'd hum while she cooked, how she told me when I was just a boy, "Robert, you got a good heart. Don't let this world take that from you." I thought about the first time I met Diane, at a church picnic. She wore a yellow dress and laughed at all my jokes. I thought I'd found my person. I thought about Monica as a baby, how small she was, how I'd hold her and promise to protect her from everything. And I thought about how wrong I'd been, about all of it. Somewhere around 3 a.m., I must have passed out, because the next thing I knew, it was morning, and someone was pounding on the door. Hard. "Policía! Abra la puerta!" Diane shot up from the couch. Monica stumbled out of the bedroom. "What the?" Monica started. The pounding got louder. "Policía! Abra ahora!" Diane looked at me, then at the door, then back at me. "Don't you dare make a sound," she hissed. The door exploded inward. 3 Mexican police officers stormed in, guns drawn. "Manos arriba! Manos arriba!" Diane and Monica threw their hands up, screaming. One of the officers saw me, tied to the chair, covered in blood and filth. "Dios mío!" He rushed over, pulling out a knife to cut the zip ties. The moment my hands were free, I collapsed, couldn't hold myself up. The officer caught me, lowering me to the floor. "Sir, can you hear me? Sir?" I tried to talk, but nothing came out. Another officer was handcuffing Diane. She was crying, screaming, "This is a misunderstanding. He's my husband. We were just—" "Save it," one of the officers said in perfect English. "We received a report from Virginia police. Suspected kidnapping. Elderly man in danger." Virginia police. Juanita, she'd called the police. She'd saved my life. The officer cutting my tape off looked at my wrists. "We need an ambulance. Now." Everything after that was a blur. Paramedics, stretcher, hospital, bright lights, doctors speaking Spanish. Pain, so much pain. But underneath it all, relief. I was free. I woke up in a hospital bed 3 days later. White walls, beeping machines, an IV in my arm. For a second I thought I was dead, thought maybe I died in that chair and this was heaven. But then a nurse walked in and smiled. "Senor Crawford, you're awake." "Where? Where am I?" "Hospital General de Cancun. You've been here for 3 days. Very sick. Infection, dehydration, malnutrition." She shook her head. "You're lucky to be alive." My wife, daughter. They are arrested. U.S. Embassy is handling the case." A man in a suit appeared in the doorway, mid-40s, white, American. "Mr. Crawford, I'm Agent Michael Torres with the U.S. Embassy. How are you feeling?" "Like I got hit by a truck." He smiled sadly. "That's understandable. Sir, I need to ask you some questions when you're up for it, about what happened in that hotel room." Over the next hour, I told him everything, from the inheritance to the fake vacation to being tied up and beaten. He recorded it all. "Your housekeeper, Juanita Morales, called the Richmond Police Department on day 14 of your absence. Said you'd never go 2 weeks without calling about your medication. She was adamant something was wrong." 14 days. I've been tied to that chair for almost 2 weeks. "The police contacted us," Torres continued. "We sent local authorities to do a welfare check. When they arrived and heard you making noise behind the door, they breached. You were unconscious by then." "What happens now?" "Your wife and daughter are being held pending extradition to the United States. They'll face federal charges, kidnapping, attempted fraud, aggravated assault, elder abuse. We're talking serious prison time, Mr. Crawford." I should have felt something, anger, sadness, vindication, but I just felt empty. "I want to talk to Juanita." Torres handed me a phone. "I figured you might. She's been calling every day." I dialed her number with shaking hands. She answered on the first ring. "Mr. Robert," and I broke down. "Juanita, you saved me." "Oh, thank God. Thank God you're okay." She was crying too. "I knew something was wrong. I knew it. You never miss your medication, never." How did you know to call the police?" "Mrs. Diane, she kept making excuses, saying you were busy, saying you'd call later, but it didn't sound right. And when I asked to speak to you directly, she got angry. That's when I knew. You could have just ignored it, could have minded your own business. Mr. Robert, you are my business, you're my family, more than those two ever were." I closed my eyes, let the tears fall. "I'm coming home soon," I said. "And when I do, we need to talk." "About what?" "About the future." I flew back to Richmond weeks later. My wrists were bandaged. My back was still healing. I'd lost 23 pounds, but I was alive. Juanita picked me up from the airport. When I saw her standing there in arrivals, holding a little sign that said, "Welcome home, Mr. Robert," I hugged her so hard she laughed. "Careful, careful, you're still healing." "I don't care." The house felt different when I walked in, quieter, emptier, but cleaner too, like a weight had been lifted. "I've been keeping everything up," Juanita said. "Watering the plants, getting the mail, making sure the house doesn't fall apart. Thank you for everything." She made me sit down while she heated up soup, homemade, the kind my mother used to make. As I ate, she sat across from me. "The trial is next month," I said. "Federal prosecutor called me yesterday, said they have enough evidence to put them away for a long time." "How do you feel about that?" "Honestly, I don't know. They're still my family, still the people I shared my life with. But they tried to kill me, Juanita. They would have let me die in that room if you hadn't called." "I know. Part of me wants to forgive them, wants to believe they were just confused, desperate. But another part of me wants justice. Yeah." She reached across the table and took my hand. "Mr. Robert, you're a good man. Too good, maybe. But you don't owe them forgiveness. Not after what they did." My father's letter said to be generous. Being generous doesn't mean being stupid. There's a difference between charity and letting people destroy you. I thought about that for a long time. The trial happened 6 weeks later. I sat in the courtroom and watched as Diane and Monica were led in wearing orange jumpsuits. They wouldn't look at me. Not once. The prosecutor laid out the case, the recordings of their conversations, the fake phone call to Feldman, the photos of my injuries, testimony from the hotel staff who'd heard me screaming. Diane's lawyer tried to argue she'd been under duress, that she'd been manipulated by Monica. Monica's lawyer tried to argue she'd been manipulating by Diane. Both of them tried to paint me as controlling, mentally unstable, financially abusive. But the evidence didn't lie. The jury deliberated for 4 hours, guilty on all counts. When the verdict was read, Diane finally looked at me, and you know what I saw in her eyes? Not regret, not shame, hatred, pure, venomous hatred. The judge sentenced her to 18 years. Monica got 15, and just like that, they were gone. 6 months later, I was sitting on my back porch drinking coffee when Juanita brought out the mail. "Letter from your lawyer," she said. I opened it. Inside was a document from Feldman's office. Estate transfer complete, $38,400,000. The money had finally come through. I stared at the number for a long time. Then I called Feldman. "Robert, good to hear from you. Did you get my letter?" "I did. Listen, I need you to do something for me." "Of course. What do you need?" "I want to donate $20 million, split it between homeless shelters, cancer research, scholarship funds for low-income kids, and medical debt relief organizations." Silence. "Robert, are you sure? After everything you've been through, I'm sure. It's what my father wanted. It's what I want." "Okay, I'll draw up the paperwork." "One more thing. I want to create a trust, $5 million. Beneficiary is Juanita Morales. Your housekeeper? My family. In case anything happens to me, it goes to her. And I want to set up an education fund for her sons back in Honduras. Full ride to any university they get into." "That's very generous, Robert." "She saved my life. This is the least I can do." After I hung up, I walked outside to where Juanita was tending the garden. "Juanita, can we talk?" She stood up, brushing dirt off her hands. "Of course." I told her everything. About the trust, about the money for her boys, about how I wanted her to be taken care of. She stared at me. "Mr. Robert, I can't accept that." "You can, and you will. But, no buts, you did what my own wife and daughter wouldn't do. You saw me as a human being. You protected me. You saved me. That's worth more than any amount of money." Tears rolled down her cheeks. "I don't know what to say." "Say you'll stay. Stay here. Help me figure out what to do with this big empty house." She smiled through her tears. "Okay." We sat on the porch together as the sun set. Two people who'd been brought together by circumstance and found something real. Family. The next day, I made another call. To the charities. To the scholarship funds. To the organizations that would take my father's money and turn it into something beautiful. Over the next year, I watched as that $20 million changed lives. Kids who couldn't afford college got full scholarships. Families drowning in medical debt got free. Homeless shelters expanded. Cancer research moved forward. And every time I got a letter from someone whose life had been touched by that money, I thought about my father's words. Do something good with it. Don't let money turn you into what I became. I'd done it. I'd kept my promise. As for Diane and Monica, I heard through the lawyer that Diane tried to appeal her sentence. It was denied. Monica wrote me a letter from prison. I never opened it, just filed it away with all the other painful memories I was trying to move past. Some people ask me if I regret giving away the money, if I wish I'd kept it all. The truth, I sleep better now than I have in years. I wake up knowing I did the right thing, knowing that somewhere out there, a kid is going to college because of my father's money. A family is staying in their home because their medical debt got erased. A mother has a bed in a shelter instead of sleeping on the street. That's worth more than any mansion, any sports car, any designer bag. My father was right. Money doesn't make you rich. Generosity does. These days, I live quiet. I still work at the factory. Figured I might as well finish out my 35 years and get that pension. Juanita runs the house, but now she does it as a partner, not an employee. Her boys are both in college now. One studying engineering, the other studying medicine. She shows me pictures every Sunday after church, and I smile, because this is what family looks like. Not blood, not obligation, choice. People who choose to see you, to protect you, to love you even when there's nothing to gain. I'm 75 years old now. Got my health issues, got my scars, got my memories, but I also got my peace. And that's something you can't buy. Not for $40 million, not for anything. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening to my story. I know it wasn't easy to hear. Believe me, it wasn't easy to live. But I'm sharing it because I want you to know something. Money reveals who people really are. It doesn't change them. It just shows you what was always there, hiding under the surface. The people who love you will love you broke or rich. The people who don't, they'll smile either way, until you stop giving them what they want. That's when the mask falls off. So before you go, let me ask you this. Who in your life would still be there if you lost everything? Who would call the police if you went missing? Who would fight for you when you couldn't fight for yourself? Those are your people. Hold on to them. And if you're lucky enough to find a Juanita in your life, someone who sees your worth beyond your wallet, don't let them go. Because in the end, that's the real inheritance. Not money, not property. Love. Real, honest, no strings attached love. That's worth more than 40 million. That's worth everything. Drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from. And if this story touched you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because maybe, just maybe, it'll help them see the truth before it's too late. God bless you all. And remember, peace don't come cheap, but it's always worth the price.